Why I switched from iPhone to Android and miss one thing. You know, switching from iPhone to Android is like moving to a new city. It's exciting, it's full of possibilities, but at the same time, you start missing the little things you took for granted. For years, I was deep in the Apple ecosystem. iPhone, MacBook, iPad, AirPods. Everything just worked together so seamlessly. But then, I made the big switch. I ditched my iPhone and went all in on Android. And honestly, it's been a wild ride. There's a lot to love about Android. It's flexible, it's customizable, and you can do things that Apple would never let you do. But there's one thing I genuinely miss from my iPhone experience. And we'll get to that in a bit. First, let's talk about why I switched in the first place. Why I switched from iPhone to Android. The biggest reason? Freedom. With an iPhone, you're stuck with Apple's way of doing things. You can't change much, you have to use their App Store, and customization is pretty limited. It's a walled garden. A beautiful, polished, and smooth garden, but still a walled one. Android, on the other hand, gives you so much control. Want to change your default apps? Go for it. Want to install a custom launcher and completely change how your phone looks and feels? No problem. Want to sideload apps without restrictions? Done. And let's not forget hardware variety. Apple gives you a handful of iPhone models to choose from. But with Android, you have so many options. Samsung, Google Pixel, OnePlus, Xiaomi, Asus, and more. If you want a phone with a stylus, there's the Galaxy S24 Ultra. If you want a crazy 200MP camera, there's a phone for that. Foldable phones? Android has them. Another thing I loved about switching was USB-C and fast charging. Apple finally switched to USB-C with the iPhone 15, but before that, we were stuck with lightning cables. Meanwhile, Android phones have had USB-C for years. And the charging speeds? Insane. I went from waiting over an hour to charge my iPhone to getting 50% battery in just 15 minutes on an Android device. Oh, and speaking of charging, reverse wireless charging is a game changer. Imagine your friend's AirPods are about to die, and you just place them on the back of your phone to charge them up. Can't do that with an iPhone. The Android features that won me over. Now, let's talk about the things that made me really appreciate Android. First, customization. iOS has made some progress with widgets and lock screen customization, but it's still nothing compared to Android. I can change icons, use third-party launchers, customize gestures, and even set up always-on displays that look exactly how I want. Then, there's split-screen multitasking. If you've never used an Android phone before, you're missing out. On Android, I can watch a YouTube video while replying to messages. I can browse the web while taking notes. It's so convenient, and iPhones just don't have this feature yet. Another big one? File management. Transferring files between an Android phone and a computer is as easy as dragging and dropping. No need for iTunes, no restrictions. Plus, I can download any file type I want. iPhone users still can't download torrents or certain file formats without jumping through hoops. And then, there's call recording. On Android, I can record calls without any issues. Apple doesn't allow this, and if you want to do it, you have to use complicated third-party workarounds. Better notifications are another win for Android. On an iPhone, notifications are all grouped together in one messy list. On Android, I can control how notifications appear, snooze them, and even interact with them more fluidly. Then, there's the price factor. iPhones are expensive, and if you want to upgrade to the latest model every year, you're spending a lot. With Android, I can get a fantastic phone at almost half the price of an iPhone. And if I want a premium experience, I still have options without feeling like I'm locked into Apple's pricing. What I miss about the iPhone. Now, as much as I love my Android phone, there's one thing I truly miss about the iPhone. And that is Apple's ecosystem. Apple's seamless integration between devices is unmatched. iMessage, AirDrop, Handoff, and Continuity make using multiple Apple devices a dream. With iMessage, I never had to worry about texting another iPhone user. Messages sent instantly, I could see when someone was typing, and everything synced beautifully between my iPhone, iPad, and MacBook. With Android, I have to rely on third-party apps like WhatsApp or Telegram, and while they work fine, it's not the same. Then, there's AirDrop. Moving files between Apple devices is effortless. On Android, I have to use Google's Nearby Share, which is decent but not quite as smooth as AirDrop. And let's talk about privacy. Apple's ASCAP not to track feature is something I really miss. On an iPhone, when you open an app, you get the option to block it from tracking your activity across other apps. It's a great privacy feature that Android just doesn't offer in the same way. Also, the polish and smoothness of iOS is hard to beat. Even though Android has improved a lot, iPhones still feel smoother, with better animations and fewer software glitches. Android can sometimes feel inconsistent, depending on the manufacturer and skin they put on top of the operating system. Would I go back to iPhone? Now the big question, would I switch back? Honestly, I'm still adjusting. Android gives me so much freedom, but I do miss the simplicity and tight integration of iOS. If Apple ever opened up its ecosystem a little more, I might consider going back. But for now, I'm enjoying the flexibility that Android offers. At the end of the day, both platforms have their pros and cons. If you value customization, flexibility, and choice, Android is the way to go. But if you love Apple's ecosystem and want a seamless experience between devices, then the iPhone is unbeatable. So, if you're thinking about switching, ask yourself, what matters most to you? That's my take on the iPhone versus Android debate. Let me know in the comments, have you ever switched? What do you love or hate about iPhone or Android? Let's discuss. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to Tech Flash Daily channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.